guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoilery gush for Godsgrave by Jay Kristoff. As I said, this video will have spoilers in it, so if you have not read this book, I will link my spoiler-free review on the screen. So before I get into it, because the final book is already out, please do not comment. I do this all the time when I release videos like this. Please do not comment any kind of hint, response, spoiler, emoji kind of smirking if I mention something, anything in relation to the third book. I have not read the third book yet. I might by the time this video comes out, but I don't think I will have. So I'm planning on reading it this month, but I haven't yet. So please do not spoil me in comments by hinting at anything. You guys know how I hate that shit. But basically right now all I'm going to talk about is like the twists and turns and everything and possible predictions. And again, don't say if I'm right or wrong, and let's get into it. So first off, gladiators. I was so happy that this was a gladiator type story. I love like gladiator stories and fighter stories, so the fact that we had assassins mixed with gladiators, chef's kiss, so wonderful, exactly what I wanted. There were so many gladiator things that I just really enjoy, particularly the sea battle scene, because that actually happened. Like, they actually used to fill the Colosseum with water and have sea battles. And the fact that this is kind of based on that history, just the fact that we had that, I was like, yes! Like, whenever we have a gladiator story, and it doesn't happen often, where they do a sea battle, I am like losing my shit. So the fact that that happened was really great. I just love just like the little sort of found families that happen. And the fact that she was like, they're not my friends, they're not my friends. And then she's like, they're my friends. So good, and I just enjoyed all the personalities of the different gladiators as well. What I do like about this series as well is that I don't feel like the characters have plot armor. I mean, obviously Mia does right now because we know the series is following her, but generally speaking, throughout the series at this point, I'm just playing like, who do you think's gonna die? In my head, I'm like, okay, we're going into a battle sequence. Who's gonna die? Like, that's what I was doing like every time, and usually I was not able to like easily predict who it would be, and there was always like a twist or something, so I'm just playing that in my head at all times. The first big kind of twist that got me, because from here on out I'm kind of just talking about twists and stuff, the first major twist that got me is that Sidonis is loyal to her family and was loyal to her dad, and he gave her a lot of information and stuff, but her like finding someone who knew her family while she was in the area that was like her family's stronghold, so soft. But that's when we also start getting some of like Mia remembering things about her parents and about her family. And the whole thing that Mia's mom said, where she like, when she was dying or whatever, and Mia went and saw her and she's like, you're not my, you know, daughter anymore, he's inside you, blah blah blah. I was like, that's in reference to, I think, and I think this is what it's gonna be, the god that Ah had, and that was not a daughter, that was a son. That's the whole thing in my head, right? So he's obviously like a night, dark, whatever god, and that's who she's gonna have like an affinity with. And I think, and again, I don't think any of this, I really think this is true at this point. Again, don't like tell me yes or no, but at this point I'm like, this is all lining up that this is what it is, right? Like this stuff isn't supposed to be like a major twist. We're setting up the good foreshadowing and stuff. So he is, that god I think is the god that's like buried under Godsgrave. That's what we see in the map, that they've always said like it's called Godsgrave because it looks like a fallen god, and I'm like, I think it is. And then like Mr. Kindly was making references to like before he found Mia, like he was living like under Godsgrave, which could be like just a throwaway line, but I don't think it was. So I think that like the shadows and night and stuff are like from that. So I'm excited about that. And the whole thing is like restoring night, right? Because she has that whole like kind of vision where she sees night and you know that it's night, and she like sees the moon and all this stuff. So I'm excited about that. And like the whole creature at the beginning and then the end, which I'll talk about in a second, but the creature at the beginning that's like, you're supposed to be painting the sky black. You're supposed to be restoring nighttime. Right? I'm not exactly sure about the significance of the map that Ash now has tattooed on her body, which like, smart girl. But that whole thing, I'm just like, okay, so why do we need the map when we know where Godsgrave is? But in the map, it's like blatantly that's where Godsgrave is. So like, what? But now we're gonna be going on like a quest to find that god, right? Probably, eh? Speaking of Ash, Mia and Ash is the sapphic, angsty relationship that I've always longed for. I shipped them like basically immediately in this book. I don't remember shipping them as much in like the first book. There was inklings and I was like, I don't know. But this book, man, obviously like from the get-go. And I just love that like she can't trust Ash, but they're having this time together and they love each other, and like Ash would do anything for her. The angst there is so good. And that she was worried about like what Ash would think of her face, and it's just like, it's so good. And I like that they're just like a battle couple. They're a battle couple. And they're like similar. They're both after their vengeance. I'm kind of wondering though, and again, I don't know if this is gonna happen, but I almost wonder if like Mia's changing a bit, where like her vengeance is still important to her, but she's also seeing like the wrongs of the world. And I'm not sure if Ash is gonna be able to like move with that, because she's been so about like her own vengeance path and has done so much. So like they're similar in that way, but I almost feel like, is it going to be sort of a theme of like Mia and her going different directions? Mia having to pull her like away from the dark? I don't know. Mia's dad and the general being in love. That was a revelation that I did not at all see coming. I love it. I love any kind of story when you get kids finding out that their parents are like fully formed human beings and not idolizing them so much anymore. So that revelation about her dad, I just loved, but also that it was like, he still loved her and he still loved his family, but like seeing all these things that she thought was like really sweet and romantic before, where like her dad would kiss like her mom's like eyelids and then like her forehead, was just like him showing love to her but being like, this is not romantic. I just love that kind of revelation. And also just like turning the tide around and just Mia seeing that like there's injustice in this world, that she could have been a part of this world if things had been different, that this is not right, that this, all the slavery is not right, and just things that she didn't see before. And then also seeing that like her dad's journey to be like the kingmaker was not really right either. Like he was doing that because he loved this man and he wanted to be the one that like gave that man what he wanted, but ultimately like he wasn't really doing anything different for the good of the world, and I think all of that is so good. Also, speaking of flawed relationships, Leona and Arcades give me such Dany and Jorah vibes from Game of Thrones. Oh my god, like I know that Arcades is younger, he's like in his 30s, so he's not that old, but like they gave me that vibe so hard the entire time. And I don't ship that relationship in Game of Thrones or anything, but like that's the vibe that I felt the entire time. I also knew from the beginning that Arcades was not the one that poisoned them, because I was like, no, he cares too much, there's no way it was him. I always knew it was the Magistrate, but I didn't know how they were going to find that out. I was like, okay, so she saw that he had the slip because he knew about her and Furion, which was a relationship that I kind of didn't get, because Furion was a character that kind of annoyed me. I'm going on a tangent now, but I don't tend to like religious zealot characters like that. So like that kind of character just was like, ugh, this is so boring. I want her to meet a Darkin that she can actually talk to, damn it. But when the Magistrate saw that, I was like, I think she's setting them up. So kind of saw that one, but I still like how good the foreshadowing is in these books. Like I never am upset if I figure out a twist. I find that satisfying because not every twist has to be like out of nowhere, you know, like we don't need to have that. So I am always happy when I'm like, I saw that, but it was like really good foreshadowing, thank you. I'm intrigued if we're gonna see more of Arcades and Leona in the future also. The Silkling was also a really interesting addition. I love when we have characters that are like not quite human, and that was a very interesting addition as well. I mean, we only saw like a little bit of it, but just knowing that there's like different kinds of races out there that aren't just like human races is interesting to me. Like I said, I really like the theme that Mia is sort of like seeing how this society is working and sort of making another Game of Thrones reference, but kind of like break the wheel. Like I think the third book is going to be more about taking down these systems that are in place in a bloody, wonderful way. Speaking of blood, I also kind of thought that she did betray all the other gladiators. Like, I didn't think she would. Like, I was leading up to it and I was like, she's not going to, it's all going to be a trick. And then when the scene was written of them being like killed, from the way it was written, I was like, she really has killed, because like the way that she was washing off the blood and what they were saying to her, I was like, this is not fake, this is real. And then when it turned out, like as soon as we saw the scene where Ash and Mercutio, I forget how to say his name, when they're going with the wheelbarrow, I was like, they're getting them, they're not dead. Okay, thank you, because it was like that would have been going against her entire arc at this point to like have her see how everything is and not want to help at this point, even though the story keeps saying like she's not a hero, but then her mentor like told her, you know, towards the end, he's like, you are a hero. So the story's trying to like get us off her scent, but like she, you know, she's a morally gray character. She's like an anti-hero, okay? I also loved the scene where she spared Leona. Like, I love that kind of shit when it's like, she's like, I'm doing this one thing because you helped me, but you're also like kind of a bitch. So like, I'm not helping you a ton and like your life's gonna suck, but like, here's where Arcades is, go find him, and like everyone else I'm killing for you because parts of your life are really shitty too. You're welcome. So that's kind of where I wonder if like her and Arcades are gonna pop back up at some point in the third book. But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't as well. The end though, with like Skeva not dead, oh my god, like did not see that coming. I'm loving though that like each book is her taking down a different part of like the people, you know, like each one, because obviously at this point if we would have killed both of them off, like what would you do? But oh my god, the fact that he's not dead, the fact that her brother is still alive, which I thought that he was the boy that was with him as soon as he was mentioned. I was like, that's her brother. But he's also darkened, and then he's actually both of their dads. What? Like, that I did not see coming. Like, I thought that maybe he would be her brother's dad, like, for sure, when that was, like, revealed and everything, but, like, he's both. What? So then is he like a darkened? I don't know, but I was like, oh my god, because then it would be like, okay, was he a darkened because he has both these darkened kids and he hated Duemo? I don't even know how to say the names because I only read them. Ah, I loved all of that. And then the very ending with Trick being still alive, I called that. If you go back and watch my gush for Nevernight, I'm pretty sure I would have mentioned it. I never thought Trick was dead or that he wasn't going to come back. So when everyone kept mentioning like Godsgrave has a cliffhanger, Godsgrave has a cliffhanger, I was like, Trick's going to be back and it's going to be the last line. So like I kind of knew that, but I didn't think all these cliffhangers were going to happen. But it was kind of good that I went in prepared for cliffhangers because I knew I wanted to read other books after this book before diving into Dark Dawn. So I like already was like stealing myself for the cliffhanger, but there was like 3 cliffhangers and I wasn't expecting that. And he's obviously been like brought back from the dead because he's with that whole like Crown of the Moon plot line and like these kind of like weird, like, is it like death magic? Like, what is it? And he's like an extra assassin, like at this point, like what? So yeah, the fact that Trick is back, and then is that going to be, I feel like I've seen stuff, again, don't confirm or deny, that like they become a polyamorous thing like Trick, Ash, and Mia. I'm pretty sure I've seen fan art, like looked away quickly, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it. So loving all of this, loving everything this is giving me. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for the theme of the last book and like bringing back the night and nighttime. Is it gonna be necromancy? I don't know. Like there's things there that I'm really excited about. There is some stuff with my anxiety that I'm like, oh, I don't really like there being like, you know, dark things like inside her. It kind of works because of the, you know, like the funniness of this and whatever, but like that it toes the line for me, but my anxiety's been pretty good lately, all things considered. So I've been okay with this. So that has me like a little bit nervous, but I think it's gonna be fine. So yeah, very excited to see what the overall arc ends up being and everything. I'm nervous but excited to go into Dark Dawn. I do plan on reading it this month before the end of this month. Fingers crossed. So obviously I gave Godsgrave 5 out of 5 stars. So comment below, let me know your thoughts on Godsgrave. Thank you all for watching and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.